WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Raisha Sehgal. On the show tonight, we will tell you about the spy who sold her motherland. This as the Indian security agencies continue to crack down on Pakistan's sinister plot to wage a silent war against India from within. We will also tell you how the Indian army thwarted Pakistan's attack on the Golden Temple. The video released by the Indian army shows how the Indian air defense systems, including the Akash missiles, saved the Golden Temple. And finally, we will tell you about the role models of Operation Sindur. All that and a lot more lined up for you on the show tonight. Let's get you started. There's a war on the frontier, war in the air, war on the seas, and now India has discovered a new dimension to Pakistan's war by other means: spies. Operatives working in India on behalf of Pakistan's spy agencies in secret paid to betray their motherland. And as the Operation Sindur continues, an unsettling question has gripped the country. Who can you really trust? I say this because over the weekend and today, as a part of its Operation Sindur, India is cracking down on Pakistan's sinister plot to wage a silent war against India from within. Indian security agencies have dismantled a Pakistan spy ring caught operating across multiple states in India. India's intelligence network is on high alert. Multiple arrests have been made so far. In the spotlight is a 33-year-old YouTuber from Hisar in Haryana. Her name? Jyoti Malhotra, also known as Travel with Joe on YouTube. She called herself a nomadic Leo girl, a wanderer, that's what she called herself. Jyoti Malhotra is an influencer and a travel vlogger. She has a strong portfolio online with over 3.7 lakh subscribers on YouTube and 1.3 lakh followers on Instagram. But was it all a front? Because behind the influencer persona, Indian investigators say Jyoti was leaking important, sensitive information to Pakistan. She's now under arrest, accused of espionage under the Official Secrets Act. The Haryana police say that Jyoti Malhotra was in direct contact with Pakistani intelligence operatives. They say that she shared key military details through WhatsApp, Telegram and Snapchat, saving contacts under misleading names like Jat Randhava, all in a bid to throw off suspicion. Her YouTube channel account shows some videos of her visiting Pakistan with the tagline saying Indian girl in Pakistan, Indian girl exploring Lahore, and using forms of code to disguise the betrayal in return for hard cash. According to the FIR, she was cultivated as a potential asset by Pakistan after multiple trips to Lahore, Qatar's Raj Temple and other sites. Of course, she was traveling under the guise of a travel vlogger. Here's what the authorities say. In 2023, Jyoti allegedly met a Pakistani national named Ehsan-ur-Rahim, also known as Danish. In the subsequent trips, she met Pakistani intelligence operatives through an associate named Ali Hassan. She continued communication through encrypted apps, allegedly sharing important information. Then, on May 16, 2025, she was arrested under espionage charges by Hisar police. Investigators state that she was tasked by her Pakistani handlers to portray a good image, a positive image of Pakistan through her content. And well, she's not alone. At least 8 others across 3 states have been arrested for allegedly spying for Pakistan. Let's now take a look at the alleged spies caught so far. 25-year-old Devendra Singh Dhillon. He was a political science student at Khalsa College, Patiala, and on May 12th, he was arrested from Kethal, Haryana for uploading pictures of a pistol and guns on Facebook. It was only during his questioning that it emerged that he had visited Pakistan last November, where he shared sensitive information, including pictures of the Patiala military cantonment with Pakistan's inter-services intelligence ISI. Another arrest followed soon after. Noman Ali, a 24-year-old security guard in Panipat. He was found to be in direct contact with an ISI handler in Pakistan. Investigators say that funds were routed through Noman's brother-in-law's bank account, while Noman passed along important information to Islamabad. And then comes Arman and Tarif, both from Noor district in Haryana. Arman was arrested first based on intelligence. Police claim he passed on important information during heightened Indo-Pak tensions. Just 2 days later, Tarif was picked up from Kangarkha village. On seeing the police, Tarif allegedly tried to delete his WhatsApp chats. These chats were with Pakistani numbers, some of which were wiped before his phone was seized. Meanwhile, in Rampur, Uttar Pradesh, Shehzad, a local businessman, was picked up by the STF. He was not just under suspicion for espionage, he had reportedly travelled to Pakistan multiple times and was also involved in smuggling cosmetics, spices and clothes. Officials say he passed on information tied to national security during these visits. And then came a name from Punjab's Jalandhar, Mohammad Murtaza Ali, caught by Gujarat police in surprise raid. He had reportedly made a mobile app to channel information to Pakistan, to the ISI in Pakistan. Officials found 4 phones and 3 SIM cards in his possession. The list does not end here. There were more, to name some. Ghazala and Yamin Mohammed. They were also arrested from Punjab and they believed to be part of the same espionage web. In the latest, Punjab police have said that they have conducted counter-espionage operations and detained Sukhpreet Singh and Karanbir Singh after intelligence inputs flagged their involvement. They allegedly shared classified details about Operation Sindur, troop movements and strategic locations in Punjab, Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. 3 phones and 8 live cartridges were recovered. The Punjab DGP confirmed that forensic data matched intelligence inputs. A case has been filed under the Official Secrets Act. The arrests are a chilling reminder of the vulnerabilities exposed during times of national crisis. Officials have warned that the investigation is still ongoing and more arrests may follow. But India's message is clear, it's resolute. Any attempt to undermine India's national security will be met with swift and firm action. And as tensions remain high and India tightens its grip on internal security, the real battle might just be starting. Shifting focus to Pakistan now, a deadly car bombing in Pakistan's restive southwest province of Balochistan has killed at least 4 civilians and injured 20. The attack comes as Baloch separatist violence continues to escalate in the border province of Balochistan. A car bomb exploded near a market in Kila Abdullah. Pakistan officials say an IED was planted in a parked car, likely intended to strike a nearby paramilitary outpost. But the device went off prematurely. According to park officials, all those killed were civilian passersby. The blast also reportedly damaged the outer wall of the paramilitary facility. No group has claimed responsibility yet, but suspicion has quickly turned to Baloch separatist groups, which have waged a long insurgency in the mineral-rich region. The latest bombing follows a series of deadly attacks. Just days ago, 4 paramilitary personnel were killed in Khuzdar city of Balochistan. 2 weeks earlier, 7 soldiers died in an IED strike. And in March, BLA fighters killed 33, mostly soldiers, in an attack on a train. Balochistan Liberation Army or BLA has ramped up both the frequency and the intensity of its attacks, perhaps adopting newer tactics to inflict mass casualties. A brazen attempt by Pakistan to strike at the heart of India's spiritual heritage was met with an ironclad response. In the early hours of May 8th, Pakistan launched a barrage of drones and long-range missiles directly targeting Amritsar's Golden Temple, one of the world's most revered religious sites. Indian armed forces downed each and every missile fired by Pakistani armed forces. The Indian Army mobilized its most advanced air defense shield, the Akash missile system, upgraded L-70 air defense guns, and a suite of radar and surveillance assets were also deployed, perhaps forming an impenetrable umbrella over the Golden Temple and Punjab's major cities. During a media briefing in Amritsar, the Indian Army also displayed the debris of intercepted Pakistani missiles, a stark testament to the vigilance and skill of India's defenders. The Indian Army also gave a live demonstration revealing how enemy missiles were locked, tracked and blasted mid-air, with India's Integrated Air Defense Command responding within seconds to any missile attack from Pakistan.
After repeated defeats, Pak military is unable to face Indian military in conventional operations. He has conveniently outsourced his military tasks to proxies and terrorists. Pak military posts often abet infiltration by firing onto own posts to distract and divert our attention away from infiltrating terrorists. We are well aware of the locations where, due to riverine terrain or inaccessible areas, the border fence is either weak or not existing. We have converted these into killing grounds, while punishing the aiding Pak military post by inflicting heavy casualty and damage with superior tactics and weapons.
India's message is clear. Any attempt to threaten its heritage or civilians will be met with swift, decisive force, given the unwavering resolve of the Indian armed forces. The Golden Temple stands unscathed. Each generation has its role models, its heroes who define the times we live in. And surely, this generation will have its own, some of whom might very well spring from India's very own military retaliation to Pakistani terrorism under Operation Sindur, which has set a whole new benchmark on how military strikes are conducted and is possibly unlike any mission India has ever carried out in the past. It has been an operation of innovation, invention, grit and valor, executed with top-notch planning and precision. One telling of the evolution of India's defense infrastructure and strategic posturing. From the impact it has had, it's clear that it was no one-man job. But first, who is a role model after all? Simply put, a role model is someone who serves as an example, someone who one can look up to, often as someone worthy of being followed and respected for the standards of success they set. For impressionable minds, a role model is who they want to be growing up, whose footsteps they want to follow, and the dreams they inspire. And when it comes to Operation Sindur, there's no dearth of such examples, a mix of known and unknown faces championing the cause of national interest, putting the country above themselves. Number one, Dr. Prahlada Rama Rao, the brain behind India's advanced air power, the former DRDO scientist who headed Akash missile system that successfully thwarted Pakistan's aerial intrusions, a feat that made this missile system a mainstay in national defense. This is particularly important as what Operation Sindur showcased is a fusion of air power, artillery and unmanned systems, serving as the backbone of a coordinated long-duration strike. And minds like Rao have been extremely crucial in steering these behind the public glare and spotlight.
So the radar controls the launch of the missile and guiding the missile towards the targets. So which missile to be guided to which target is decided by the radar and the combat control system. And all the 12 missiles can go, depending on how many targets can come. This is how the system works. And missile will be flying within 20 seconds, it will travel 35 kilometers. And all the targets will get demolished.
Number two, Air Marshal A.K. Bharti. Most of you may be familiar with him by now as the face of the media briefings on the ceasefire, outlining the Indian strikes to the media along with other armed forces personnel. But that's half the story really. Air Marshal A.K. Bharti is a distinguished fighter combat leader in the Indian Air Force himself, one with an illustrated experience in air command. Also noteworthy is the mention of Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai, the current DGMO of the Indian Army, with significant work experience along the LOC in Jammu and Kashmir. Both their leadership was key in one of India's most important counter-terror mission in recent times. And of course, lastly, the two trailblazing women officers, Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, who led the official media briefing about the Operation Sindur. A day after it was conducted, and needless to say, this was historic for India in ways more than one. Not just in advancing women's role in India's defense leadership, but also in holding up India's unity in diversity. This speaks volumes about India's contribution to the world at large in terms of soft power, scientific prowess and global partnerships. One which has been put forth by former External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj in a speech at the UNGA in 2016, where she spoke about Pakistan's bold claims. Swaraj highlighted what India provided to the world: IT supremacy institutions such as IITs and IIMs, advances in health, space and technology, as opposed to Pakistan, which exported terror. She said, when India delivered scholars, scientists and engineers, Pakistan nurtured terrorists at its own backyard.
Creating IIMs, IITs, AIMS,
Indian Institute of Management,
and in the fields
हमने एम्स
of
जैसे अस्पताल बनाए, ऑल इंडिया इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मेडिकल साइंसेज. हमने अंतरिक्ष के क्षेत्र में विश्व प्रसिद्ध
in the fields of
संस्थान बनाए।
education, health, space,
पाकिस्तान
and
वालों,
across the
आपने
range
क्या
of human
बनाया?
welfare. He
आपने
established
लश्कर-ए
scientific and
तैयबा
technical
बनाया।
institutions which are of the
आपने
pride of the
जैश-ए-मोहम्मद
world.
बनाया।
But what has Pakistan offered to the
आपने
world and
हक्कानी
indeed its own
नेटवर्क
people
बनाया।
apart from terrorism?
आपने हिजबुल
We produce scholars,
मुजाहिदीन
doctors,
बनाया।
engineers and
आपने
scientists that produce
आतंकवादी
terrorist
ठिकाने बनाए।
camps.
आपने
Lashkar-e-Taiba,
terrorist
Jaish-e-Mohammed,
camps
Hizbul Mujahideen, Haqqani
सभापति
network.
जी, हमने स्कॉलर्स पैदा किए, हमने साइंटिस्ट
We
पैदा किए,
produce scholars, engineers,
हमने
scientists.
डॉक्टर्स पैदा किए। पाकिस्तान वालों, आपने क्या पैदा किया?
What did you make
आपने
Pakistan?
दहशतगर्द पैदा किए,
You
आपने
created
जिहादी
terrorists
पैदा किए।
and jihadis.
This is telling of India's position and its very influence to the world. Operation Sindur just goes on to reaffirm just that. It has been one of the most followed on social media and widely tracked by people of all ages. Information regarding the operation was consumed minute by minute, and chances are that the youth and current generation would have their go in picking their favorites, their very own heroes, with or without capes. Well, Pakistan is facing a severe hunger crisis with 11 million people at a risk of acute food insecurity between November 2024 and March 2025, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization's latest report. And the surge in food insecurity is driven by a combination of climate shocks, economic instability, and persistent poverty. Malnutrition remains rampant, with over 2 million children affected in the last 10 months alone. The situation is further complicated by Pakistan's ongoing economic crisis, which has eroded purchasing power and made basic food items unaffordable for many families. The crisis is especially dire in flood-affected rural districts of Balochistan, Sindh and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where 22% of the analyzed population is struggling to secure enough food. Of these, 1.7 million people are in emergency conditions, just one step away from famine. In a bid to stabilize its economy, Pakistan secured a $1 billion bailout from the IMF. This is a part of a broader $7 billion program aimed at helping the country meet urgent financial needs and implement structural reforms. However, the IMF has now imposed 11 new structural benchmarks that must be met before the next review in September. According to Express Tribune, these include mandatory parliamentary approval of the next budget in line with IMF targets, timely notifications of power and gas tariff hikes, and legalization of the captive power levy. The objective says that the IMF is to keep energy pricing at cost, recovery levels, and reduce fiscal imbalances. The IMF's new conditions, it spans fiscal, energy, governance and trade policies. By June 30th, Pakistan must pass legislation to remove the cap on the debt service surcharge, enabling high electricity costs to be passed on to the consumers. It must also publish a governance action plan and initiate reforms to liberalize trade. Pakistan must also prepare plans to phase out tax incentives for industrial zones by 2035. Several conditions extend beyond the September deadline, but signal the IMF's intent to lock in medium-term reforms. The fund maintains that its disbursements are strictly for reserve building and do not support non-priority spending or any other imports. Despite the influx of global aid, millions remain on the brink of starvation without swift and targeted interventions. Pakistan's hunger crisis threatens to spiral further, putting countless lives at risk. Let's now tell you what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. China has said that it is accelerating work on a flagship dam in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. A new wave of COVID-19 has emerged in parts of Asia, including Singapore, Thailand and Hong Kong. What is fueling this surge and what precautions should you be taking? We'll get you the complete report tonight. Israeli military issues evacuation order for Khan Yunis, Gaza's second largest city, as its assault escalates. Is COVID-19 back? While there is no reason to panic just yet, it is our job to inform our viewers about any risk that they might anticipate at this point. A fresh wave of COVID-19 has emerged across parts of Asia, raising alarms worldwide. Countries such as Singapore, Hong Kong, China and Thailand are reporting a notable increase in new infections. Singapore saw a significant increase in COVID-19 infections. The number of cases jumped from around 11,000 in the last week of April to about 14,200 in the first week of May. Meanwhile, in Hong Kong, experts say that the virus has surged to a quite high level. Around 1,000 cases have been reported in the week ending on May 10th, and over 30 people have been reported dead. It's a similar scenario in Thailand as well, where there have been a total of 71,000 COVID-19 infections reported with 19 deaths. According to officials, the number of cases continues to rise in Thailand, with 2 major cluster outbreaks reported. In China, meanwhile, the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention reports that testing positivity rates have more than doubled in recent weeks. While a fresh wave of COVID-19 is sweeping across parts of Southeast Asia, the question is, what about India? There's little cause for alarm here in New Delhi. According to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, India currently reports only 93 active COVID-19 cases, and there are no signs of a new wave in the country. But what is causing COVID-19 resurgence in Asia? Why now? Well, the surge is majorly due to the spread of new Omicron subvariants such as JN.1. It is a descendant of the Omicron BA.2.8.6 lineage that was identified in August 2023. It was labeled as a variant of interest by the World Health Organization in 2023. This variant features approximately 30 mutations aimed at evading immunity more than any other variant circulating at that time. So what are the symptoms? JN.1 symptoms are largely similar to other COVID-19 variants, including bad throat, fever, runny or blocked nose, dry cough, fatigue, headache, loss of taste or smell. According to reports, the increase in COVID-19 cases in Asia may be an indication of declining immunity, with officials urging people to ensure that they are vaccinated. But that's not all. Officials have also repeatedly called on people to have their vaccinations updated, issuing a special reminder to high-risk individuals to get booster shots if they haven't already. As of now, it is important to take required precautions, such as using masks in public places, maintaining hygiene practices, and above all, staying informed and raising public awareness. Well, Israel has begun its broad ground offensive in Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to take full control of Gaza under Operation Gedeon's Chariots. With the latest strikes, the death and destruction has returned to the war-torn strip. These are the latest images from Gaza, where ground forces have entered the war-torn strip. Israel has also ordered mass displacement in Khan Yunis. According to reports, at least 30 airstrikes hit the area within an hour. At least 60 people have been killed in Israeli strikes since dawn. Earlier today, Israeli military helicopters were seen flying over Khan Yunis area of southern Gaza. Simultaneously, wounded people were being rushed to hospital for treatment. Rescuers in Gaza say Israeli overnight airstrikes have killed at least 22 people across the Palestinian territory. Along with a renewed ground offensive, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has approved the immediate resumption of humanitarian aid into Gaza. 3 aid trucks were spotted exiting the Kerem Shalom, allowing limited food supplies into Gaza. And this comes after nearly 3 months of tight aid restrictions.
From
the beginning of the war, we said that in order to complete the victory, defeat Hamas and free all our hostages, 2 tasks that are intertwined, there is one necessary condition. We must not reach a state of starvation. Both from a practical and a political point of view, we simply won't get support. We won't be able to complete the mission of victory.
Israel's military has said that the expansion of its military campaign is aimed at achieving all the war's objectives, including releasing hostages and defeating Hamas. It said they had eliminated dozens of terrorists, dismantled terrorist infrastructure, and they are currently being deployed in key positions. This, as Palestinian officials reported more than 100 people killed over the last 24 hours in Israeli strikes.
The IDF, led by the Southern Command, launched Operation Gideon's Chariots in accordance with the directives of the political echelon. We are embarking on the operation in order to realize all the goals of the war in Gaza, the return of the hostages and the overthrow of the Hamas regime. It is important to emphasize that we will know how to adapt to any development.
According to the Times of Israel, the name Operation Gideon's Chariot is a reference to the biblical warrior figure. As per the legend, he was a prophet and military leader who led an army of Jewish tribes to victory over the Midianites. Things are moving rather slowly on ceasefire negotiations. According to reports, Israel and Hamas are mulling proposals for a hostage ceasefire deal. CNN reported, citing an unarmed Hamas official, that the group has agreed to release 9 hostages amid a 2-month ceasefire in Gaza, with the Israeli military withdrawing to enclave's outskirts, alongside the release of 300 Palestinian security prisoners. However, Hamas has denied it, with a senior official of the group, Sami Abu, asserting the stance that it is prepared to release all the hostages in one phase, provided Israel agrees to end the war with global guarantees. On the other hand, Netanyahu's office said Israel's negotiating team in Qatar is exhausting every possibility for a deal to free the hostages, including a framework that would consider an end to the war. This indicates perhaps a shift in position, for Netanyahu has until now insisted that the team would only negotiate on the basis of the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff's proposal for a short-term ceasefire and limited hostage exchange. Israel has retrieved thousands of items belonging to the country's most famous spy, Eli Cohen, following a covert operation in Syria. In a secret operation spanning decades, Israel's Mossad has recovered over 2,000 personal and intelligence-related items belonging to Cohen. 60 years, that too, after he was executed in Damascus. On a day coinciding with the Mossad spy's death anniversary, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu shared some of these items belonging to Cohen from the Syrian archive, including documents, recordings, photos, personal objects, handwritten letters, among others.
We conducted a special operation by the Mossad, by the State of Israel, to bring his, Eli Cohen's, archive, which had been in the safes of the Syrian intelligence for 60 years. We brought it to Israel. I thought you should know about it.
Remember, Cohen was no ordinary spy, but one who infiltrated the political echelon in Syria. And his success in Syria was one of the Mossad spy agency's first major achievements. He is also credited with helping Israel prepare for its victory in the 1967 Middle East War. Through the classified intelligence he obtained in Israel, Cohen is regarded no less than a national hero and a legend of his own right. And his final remains are yet to be brought back to the country.
We want him back.
We're working on that too. We're working on everything. Eli is an Israeli legend.
US President Donald Trump is taking direct aim at ending the war in Ukraine. He's currently holding talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin to find a way to end the grinding war between Ukraine and Russia. Next, he's scheduled to hold talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. In a post on Truth Social, Trump claimed over 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers are dying each week, and that's a figure far higher than official estimates. Trump has said that the talks would focus on a ceasefire and trade. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has confirmed preparations for the US-Russia call are underway, but it remains unclear if all these high-level talks will actually lead to any breakthrough. The decision comes just after recent and largely fruitless talks between Russia and Ukraine in Istanbul. Kiev says it's open to a ceasefire, but has rejected what it called unacceptable Russian demands. Heavy fighting, meanwhile, continues. Russia claims it shot down 75 Ukrainian drones and struck military targets in 139 locations. Ukraine says it downed 88 Russian drones. That's during a wave of 273 attacks in under 24 hours. Ukrainian forces have also said that they have repelled multiple Russian advances in the Donetsk region, while over 70 clashes were reported on the front lines over the weekend. On Sunday, Russia launched its largest known drone attack since the war began in 2022. One woman was killed and 3 other civilians were injured in the attack. Ukraine's Air Force said that Russia had launched 273 drones targeting mainly the central Kiev region and the Donetsk region as well. In an interview that aired on Sunday, Putin said that Russia's military aims include removing the root causes of the war and ensuring Russia's security. Zelensky, for his part, has asserted Ukraine's willingness to talk and called for a full and unconditional ceasefire. It remains to be seen whether Trump's high-stakes diplomacy will shift the course of a war that has now entered its 3rd year with no end in sight. China has said it will accelerate a flagship dam project in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. And this comes amid heightened tensions between New Delhi and Islamabad. India has suspended the Indus Waters Treaty with Pakistan as part of retaliatory action for last month's terror attack in Pahalgam. Earlier scheduled for completion next year, the Mohammed hydropower project has been under construction by state-run China Energy Engineering Corporation in northwestern Pakistan since 2019. It is being built over the Swat River, 37 kilometers north of Peshawar in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. The dam is designed to serve as a multi-purpose facility for power generation, flood control, irrigation and water supply. According to Pakistan government's estimates, this dam will supply 300 million gallons a day of drinking water to Peshawar, which is the capital city of the province. The latest statement from China came as India announced that it would put the 1960 Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance. Pakistan responded to the action by India, saying that stopping or diverting the water belonging to Pakistan would be considered as an act of war. It's important to note here that Swat River is a tributary of Kabul River that meets Indus River in Khairabad, one of the key rivers impacted by Indian government's decision to expedite and execute various projects on the Chenab Jhelum after India's abeyance of the Indus Waters Treaty. Now, China and Pakistan are also collaborating on various other dams, including the Diame Bhasha Dam, which is under construction on the Indus River in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. India has objected to the construction of this dam, and so far, Beijing has invested billions of dollars in Pakistan's physical infrastructure under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, an important part of its Belt and Road Initiative. Meanwhile, India continues to maintain a strict stance on terror. Previously, Prime Minister Narendra Modi warned Pakistan in a speech that water and blood cannot flow together. Parallel to this, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar last week asserted that the Indus Waters Treaty will continue to remain in abeyance until Pakistan puts an end to cross-border terror in a manner that is both credible and irreversible. Former U.S. President Joe Biden expressed his gratitude to everyone for their love and support. The former U.S. president has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. The 82-year-old posted on X a picture of him and his wife, Jill Biden, along with a message of thanks. The diagnosis followed medical evaluations prompted by urinary symptoms leading to the discovery of the prostate nodule. Prostate cancer affects the prostate gland, a part of the male reproductive system located below the bladder. It is one of the most common cancers among men, especially affecting older age groups. While many prostate cancers grow slowly, aggressive forms like Biden's can spread rapidly, especially to bones, complicating treatment. U.S. President Donald Trump, who has long been at odds with his rival Biden over his cognitive ability, said that he was saddened by the news. On his social media platform Truth Social, Trump wrote, "Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family. And we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery." Former U.S. President Barack Obama and former Vice President Kamala Harris also conveyed their well wishes. Biden left office in January as the oldest serving U.S. president in history. Biden's physical health and mental acuity drew scrutiny during his 2021 and 2025 tenure. He abruptly ended his bid for the re-election last July. Americans, despite their political belief and their leanings, have reacted with sadness to the former U.S. president's health care. Take a listen.
Although he is in his early 80s, cancer is a beast, and I speak from nearly firsthand experience. Cancer took my husband the day after he turned 54. So cancer is an enemy that we can face no matter what time. So I'm sad that he and his family have to go through this battle.
It's really heartbreaking. I mean, it's not like a personal friend or anything like that, but I mean, it's sad. My mom died from cancer, so I know, and my grandmother, so I like literally watched them, you know, kind of go down, and I think that's just really sad. His last years, you know, his life's going to be really hard.
I mean, just finding out, I feel bad for him, of course. Personally, he didn't align with my political beliefs, but I don't believe that would define the value of his life. So I'm sorry, I feel bad for him and his wife and his kids, of course.
Indian armed forces have delivered a resolute response to Pakistan's ceasefire violations. Operation Sindur saw India neutralizing terror threats in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir after the Pahalgam terror attack. And WION Sibul, he has visited a number of forward locations on the line of control, providing a rare on-ground perspective. Take a look.
Behind me is the air defense gun that played an important role in thwarting the Pakistani misadventure. Beyond this place where I am standing in the line of control is Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and from there the drone attacks were launched into India. And this, the air defense system played an important role in thwarting the attack, especially the drone attacks. On the ground, situation remains stable because of the grit and determination of the Indian Army, but it is up to Pakistan whether it abides by its commitment towards the fragile agreement, the peace, the understanding, the ceasefire understanding that was agreed on 10th of May, and essentially the Indian side is ready if Pakistan indulges in any kind of misadventure. With video journalist Neeraj Patel, Siddhant Sibal for WION in Jammu and Kashmir.
Well, who says a pope does not put on training shoes and work out, or that fitness cannot be another religion? A pope could swear by. Well, Vatican Pope Leo XIV, formerly known as Robert Prevost, his fitness regime has come to light, and it is pretty intense, replete with pulling weight machines. But many, including the Pope's personal trainer, remained in the dark about the Pope's credentials, and that too for far too long. Pope, as it turns out, has been a committed gym goer, training multiple times a week before his election in order to stay in good shape. Many say for a man of his age, touching almost 70s, this is no mean feat. Pope Leo has been a path bender in ways more than one. First, as world's first American pontiff, becoming the Vatican head, elected to lead the world's 1.4 billion Catholics. Being a pope is not an easy job and comes with its own share of anxiety and burdens. And practices like working out could supposedly help make the crown feel a bit lighter. If nothing, it clearly tells us that sports training and spirituality can very well go hand in hand. Britain and the European Union have signed the most significant reset in ties since Brexit. The agreement, finalized after late-night negotiations and signed on May 19th, removes several trade barriers and paves the way for deeper cooperation on defence and security. Prime Minister Keir Starmer met with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa to formalise the deal. This marks the first major UK-EU agreement since Britain left the bloc in 2020.
This is the first UK-EU summit. It marks a new era in our relationship. And this deal is a win-win. It delivers what the British public voted for last year. It gives us unprecedented access to the EU market, the best of any country outside of the EU or EFTA, all while sticking to the red lines in our manifesto about not rejoining the single market, the customs union, and no return to freedom of movement.
The deal is a part of Starmer's broader effort to grow the UK economy and strengthen transatlantic and European ties. British Finance Minister Rachel Reeves said it had become too difficult to export and trade with the EU. Britain's largest trading partner, accounting for around 42% of UK exports in 2023. The reset may also grant the UK access to EU defence funds and planning mechanisms. Meanwhile, both the regions have signed a 12-year agreement on EU fishing boats in UK waters. The domestic fishing industry and former lawmakers have raised eyebrows on this very deal, saying it hurts domestic communities and raises competition. While the deal offers economic and strategic gains, it carries political risk. Provisions like easing work and residence rules for young EU citizens could reignite Brexit-era debates on immigration. The broader backdrop is a shifting global order with shared concerns over Russia, the war in Ukraine, and the unpredictability in US foreign policy, driving closer EU-UK coordination. Starmer is walking a fine line, seeking pragmatic engagement with Brussels without reopening full EU membership discussions. And let's listen in to our correspondent Ollie Barrett, who is closely tracking the developments from London.
the government does believe that it will be easing trade in a number of ways, particularly with regards to agricultural and food products, and it believes that that can help the UK economy. When it comes to defence, it does believe that it's opening up the ability for UK defence firms to win very lucrative contracts from the European Union and European Union member states. On fishing, it believes that it's opening up access for UK fishermen and women to sell their wares more easily into the European Union. But there are all those criticisms as well, coming from people like Kemi Badenoch and from Nigel Farage, the leader of the Reform Party, who accuse the government of selling out and say that the UK will now be more of a rule taker, particularly when it comes to food standards, than a rule maker, and they believe that this is pushing the UK too far back into the European Union's.
AI chatbot Grok is making headlines again, and this time it's related to the Holocaust. In response to a user query, the chatbot expressed skepticism about the Holocaust death toll, suggesting that the numbers could have been manipulated. Elon Musk's AI chatbot Grok is facing criticism after it questioned the number of Jews killed during the Holocaust. Official records indicate that approximately 6 million Jews were killed by the Nazis. Instead of providing the well-known figure, the chatbot said it was skeptical of the number, suggesting that without primary evidence, numbers can be manipulated for political narratives. The chatbot's claim caused outrage online. However, Grok later blamed the issue on a programming error. It's important to note that this controversy comes just days after Grok promoted the far-right theory of white genocide in South Africa. Last week, Grok users reported that the chatbot was answering every question with white genocide-related information. Meanwhile, the company has claimed that the error was caused due to an unauthorized employee secretly changing Grok's internal instructions, causing it to question historical facts. Tech layoffs in 2025 signal a deeper shift across industries where AI is boosting productivity but also raising serious questions about the future of white-collar jobs. So, what do these layoffs reveal about the changing nature of work in the AI era? Our next report telling you more.
Microsoft announced a layoff of roughly 6,000 employees, many in software engineering and product roles, even as it leads the charge in a generative AI boom. The move underscores a growing contradiction. While tech is expanding rapidly, automation is quietly replacing human labor at its core. Microsoft hasn't declared a hiring freeze, but the layoffs hint at a deeper change. According to the company, more than 30% of its code is now written or assisted by AI, a figure echoed by Alphabet. The need for traditional coding roles may be shrinking, not due to weak business, but due to efficiency gains AI is delivering. Microsoft is not alone. Companies across sectors are cutting hiring plans in favor of AI-driven productivity. Intuit reports coding speeds are up by 40% thanks to AI tools. Palantir claims its AI agents can be up to 50 times more productive than human workers. Even marketing and creative work are being reshaped. Coca-Cola's latest Christmas ad was created using generative AI, and Expedia says AI tools are helping streamline its marketing strategy. From finance to customer service to software development, companies are using AI to do more with fewer people. Economists warn this may be just the beginning. Macroeconomic uncertainty, including tariff tensions and policy shifts, is compounding the shift. In times of downturn, companies tend to invest more in tech to improve efficiency. Norway's 1.6 trillion sovereign wealth fund recently said it would not expand its headcount, citing AI. Venture capitalists suggest we may have already seen peak employment at major tech firms who could continue growing revenues without adding staff. As firms seek flexibility in uncertain economy, AI may offer the perfect solution and create a new labor market reality in the process. Business Bureau Report, WION World is One.
In a significant cultural development, a 16-foot statue of Lord Hanuman has been installed at the Sita Ram Radhe Shyam Mandir in Guyana's Sparta on the Escubo coast on Sunday. This monumental installation is set to become a new landmark and a symbol of unity, friendship and firm resolve. Taking to X, the High Commission of India and Guyana said that the installation of the statue will forge closer ties, people-to-people ties between India and Guyana. In November last year, Prime Minister Modi had highlighted the impact of the Indian diaspora in Guyana and said that a mini India exists there, where people of Indian origin have become leaders in politics, business, education and culture. Well, we now slip into a very short break, but we're leaving you with Gravitas World View. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Catch me on Token Money Magnet, only on WION.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Welcome back to WION The World is One. We are glad you're watching. Time now for Pulse. I'm Eric Njoka. Let's begin this broadcast with the headlines. US President Donald Trump speaks to Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin about ceasefire in Ukraine. This after Washington says there is an impasse of ending the war and that the US may have to walk away. Israel says 9 trucks of humanitarian aid allowed into Gaza. This marks the first such delivery in 2 months. United Nations calls it a drop in the ocean. India Supreme Court lashes out at Minister Vijay Shah for his remarks on Colonel Sophia Qureshi, calls them a shame to the entire nation, orders 3-member special investigation team to probe the FIR against him. France's Foreign Intelligence Service rejects claims from Telegram founder Pavel Durov that its chief had requested the tech mogul to ban pro-conservative Romanian accounts from the platform ahead of weekend elections. Former US President Joe Biden posts his first photo since announcing his cancer diagnosis, expresses his gratitude to Americans for their love and support. US President Donald Trump invites Pope Leo XIV to visit the White House. Vice President J.D. Vance hands over a letter from Trump to the first American pontiff during a visit to the Vatican. Flooded roads, traffic jams as heavy pre-monsoon showers throw Bengaluru into disarray. Yellow alert in place till May 21st. Indian armed forces have delivered a resolute response to Pakistan's ceasefire violations. Operation Sindur saw India neutralizing terror threats in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir after the Pahalgam terror attack. WION Sidhant Sibol visited a forward location on the line of control, providing a rare ground perspective. Take a look.
Behind me is the air defense gun that played an important role in thwarting the Pakistani misadventure. Beyond this place where I am standing at the line of control is Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and from there the drone attacks were launched into India. And this the air defense system played an important role in thwarting the attack, especially the drone attacks. On the ground, situation remains stable because of the grit and determination of the Indian army, but it is up to Pakistan whether it abides by its commitment towards the fragile agreement, the peace, the understanding, the ceasefire understanding that was agreed on 10th of May, and essentially the Indian side is ready if Pakistan indulges in any kind of misadventure. With video journalist Neeraj Patel, Sidhant Sibal for WION in Jammu and Kashmir.
Well, a brazen attempt by Pakistan to strike at the heart of India's spiritual heritage was met with an ironclad response. In the early hours of May 8th, Pakistan launched a barrage of drones and long-range missiles directly targeting Amritsar's Golden Temple, one of the world's most revered religious sites. Indian armed forces downed each and every projectile fired by Pakistani armed forces. The Indian Army mobilized its most advanced air defense shield, the Akash missile system, upgraded L-70 air defense guns, and a suite of radar and surveillance assets were deployed, forming an impenetrable umbrella over the Golden Temple and Punjab's major cities. During a media briefing in Amritsar, the Indian Army also displayed the debris of intercepted Pakistani missiles, a stark testament to the vigilance and skill of India's defenders. The Indian Army also gave a live demonstration revealing how enemy missiles were locked, tracked and blasted mid-air, with India's Integrated Air Defense Command responding within seconds.
After repeated defeats, Pak military is unable to face Indian military in conventional operations. He has conveniently outsourced his military tasks to proxies and terrorists. Pak military posts often abet infiltration by firing onto own posts to distract and divert our attention away from infiltrating terrorists. We are well aware of the locations where, due to riverine terrain or inaccessible areas, the border fence is either weak or not existing. We have converted these into killing grounds while punishing the aiding Pak military post